What's up, young Smite fans? Welcome back to the desk. We're still here in North America. My name's Fdot. He's Adanas. And we're going to move over to another exciting matchup. We've got SoaR taking on Denial today.
So Enemy coming up with two important wins, now sitting atop North America at 7-1, and we're going to be watching SoaR here, who is a team that I think is going to more than likely contend for DreamHack, be one of the top three at the end there. Maybe not, it may not be an easy road, but this is a team that I'm really excited to watch this season, and we've only got to see one set from them, and it was against a pretty tough Enemy squad, and they kind of threw their second game.
I think that these two teams right here, as you said, SoaR definitely a team that is poised to be one of the top-end teams. Denial a little bit struggles as far as their roster is concerned. Straight up, Xenotronics is going to be their mid laner, and his experience is a little bit, well,
lacking.
lesser. Yeah, lacking.
He'll be combining with Skeeledon in the jungle, who kind of a phenom of his own, has flirted with SPL for quite some time. But he's made a showing so far. Hasn't been the best performances. We'll have to see really if these two new members can kind of function within this Denial roster.
And I definitely think they can. We'll get into picks and bans and see where each character lies. One of the interesting things here, Kevin, is Xenotronics hasn't. This will be his first performance at the SPL level for this season, right?
Yeah, he hasn't, and I think Skeeledon as well. I'm not sure if he subbed in during last year at all, but didn't really have a lot of SPL experience. SoaR as well. Most of their members have kind of been on bottom teams here, but they formed a pretty strong lineup. Bands coming through. It's going to be Soul, and Soul taken out by SoaR. Denial Esports, they're going to take out Houyi.
Yeah, obviously something a little bit a tizzy, so we'll assess that. So,
I don't know, man. Soul's pretty strong. I would ban her twice, too.
It's going to be the ISIS, predictably. One of the interesting things to note is that the last time Xenotronics really played on anything close to the big stage was the Challenger Cup in November. And the reason I bring that up, he played with Skeeledon. And we've mentioned so many times that the mid-jungle bond is very important. Well, the two newer players on Denial are the mid and jungle, and they've played together before. So definitely a good step in the right direction for Denial as far as that's concerned. First pick, though, goes to SoaR.
So SoaR really respect ISIS as not only the best mid laner, but debatably the best god in the game. I am interested to see that they ban it out instead of look to first pick it, because they are in that first pick position. Maybe it's just something they don't want to deal with, though. So it's going to be the Athena, an all-around god who can be flexed into solo and jungle. I don't really see Homiefe playing it in the jungle, but maybe we could see Baskin play it in the solo lane. I know he's done it before.
Zeus and Bellona will be selected for Denial. Now, we've seen Zeus come out a number of times in Season 3, more than he used to. Without the composition built around him, it has been problematic. So look for a lot of CC as Denial continues to clean up their roster.
So we're going to go with Raijin and Thor. And Raijin, we've seen him top the damage charts. Very strong mage. Most of the damage is really centered around kind of his ultimate, or if he can catch someone with the right, ride you a little bit out of position. The bouncing can be pretty impactful. But I like what SoaR has gone with here. They've locked in the Thor and Athena as well, so they have a lot of protection for Raijin and also a lot of front line, which means he's going to be much safer, especially against a Zeus who can't really get in fights. He's kind of better if the fight's raging on in front of him or if he's getting dove.
You know, it's funny that you bring up all these things about keeping Raijin safe. You mentioned that idea so many times, where Raijin is more safe than Zeus.
Yes.
So both of these compositions, exactly what I was talking about earlier with Zeus and compositions built around him, you should see similar things on both sides. But right now, even though there's a Geb shield on the side of Denial, SoaR's mid laner is looking a little bit more comfortable with a taunt and a Thor.
And that's the thing, too, is SoaR also has this Athena Thor, which are very good at baiting out relics. Most notably Athena, right? If you can find a lead with an Athena, she's one of, if not the best to support from ahead, because she's not scared to dash forward and taunt and then just back off after she baits the relics. The teams don't need to full-on commit. It's a very low cooldown, especially if you see that Breastplate of Valor, which we almost will always see on Athena somewhere in the build. Denial, though, going the way of Neith, so a duo lane that's going to allow the Geb to stay relevant and not kind of get pressured out early.
And then taking that duo lane out of itself and bringing it more towards the rest of the team composition. Neith always has been a great pick when Zeus is in the conversation because of, again, what we're going to keep on talking about keeping these mid laners safe. Now, Wukong on the other side of the map, this is a character that has largely been considered a why would you bring him to the party type god, whereas last week we saw him succeed a little bit. Why don't you expand a little bit on why Wukong has been a little bit more popular? A little bit.
I don't know. People are crazy. Has a decent matchup against Bellona specifically because the ability to knock up the bludgeon. Also, Sun Wukong did receive a buff in not the latest patch, but the patch before that, I believe, where a little bit of his base health got brought back. But I mean, he's just a very big fight disruptor, and you don't have to rely on his damage. I think is the big thing, right? He's not there to zone out backlines. He's not really the best at that, but what he is the best at is just distracting people. Not only does he have his ult where he's going to be able to heal up, but also he can just interrupt a lot of channeled abilities and help lock down kind of the Zeuses and the Gebs when they start their move, or not Zeus, but Geb specifically.
Well, we saw last match, Matty Pocket absolutely go on a tear with Vamana, and one of the big things that he brought into that match was his ability to find multiple people with the knockups. And Baskin here is going to be doing pretty much the same thing as Jigz' back is stopped right there. Baskin's going to be looking for multiple people with these knockups, but then on the Sun Wukong also has the option to really single a single individual out with that stun. So always going to be looking for the kills onto the mid laners, both of these teams. But Baskin has a couple more options in his Felix bag of tricks, if you will.
So Denial has gone with this Naja to pair with the Zeus, which is pretty good setup, but can't really protect the Zeus as well. Has a decent matchup, though, in this situation, considering it's against the Thor. You can, sash out the Berserker's barrage, as well as put out some pretty strong early pressure, which it's very hard to match up to the Thor in a lot of situations.
One of the things I do like about that Naja pick, though, is what Naja excels at is he's like a traditional assassin where you want to try to delete somebody real quick. But in the event that you don't, you are still literally taking somebody out of the game for a couple of seconds. So Raijin, who traditionally likes to sit in that back line, as you said, and just hang out behind his whole team, if Naja is able to find him an ult, all of a sudden there's a team fight without that Raijin damage raining through everybody, which is a big problem.
Raijin here going to get a little bit of the better of Zeus early on. You can see him hitting level 2 a little bit before, and that aggressive Thunder Dash coming out. And we see this quite a lot from Raijins. They really like that aggressive Thunder Crash. It gets a little bit worrying sometimes. It's a little bit scary.
Yeah.
Because you are a mage that doesn't have bonus protections.
That's the thing. Despite the huge model, still definitely as fragile as most of these other mages. Big deal here, though. Honestly, Raijin, how aggressive he is with that teleport move really depends on Odin's ult, and Odin is not in this game, so expect to see Hurriwind pretty aggressive.
Something to note here about Raijin as well, I do want to talk about kind of why I considered him in the same vein as Zeus, where he kind of needs to be protected.
Yeah.
Not only is his ult really slow to start up, but as well as he has this reduced movement speed, so he's easy to lock down his ult. But more importantly is that his model is so wide. Most mages have very thin character models.
Yep.
And you look at gods like Khepri, right? Khepri has a lot of protections and defense, but he is very wide. He can be hit very easily. That's the same thing with Raijin. Skeeledon on this Naja is going to have a much easier time connecting Windfire wheels on top of such a character that's spans across half the lane, basically.
Yeah, it's not always the first thing that you think about, but character width and just how big the actual hitbox is definitely a huge deal. Is biggest point to
Zeus
make
is in
about
trouble.
that Naja. And there's the aggressive dash again. Sanctuary is going to be good enough for the moment, but if a basic can be found and it can't, Hurriwind would have wound up with that first blood, but superior jukes coming out from the guys on Denial, and Xenotronics lives.
That was just a beautiful double tap coming out from Homiefe, getting Zeus into such a range that he knows that he can just teleport to the hammer. And the reason is, Zeus in a lot of situations when he's aggressed on will typically just stand there and fight. But because he was so poked out, Homiefe knows that he's going to win that fight if he stays.
Also a big point, Zeus was only level 4, not yet hitting level 5. A lot of times what immediately happens when Zeus gets smoked like that, just drop the ult on your feet. Dance around in it like an Isis ult or whatnot. It's not going to heal you up, but everybody's still going to run away because they're taking those detonate charges. So Zeus not able to really do that yet, as he has yet to reach level 5. The SoaR definitely made
in a lot of trouble on the right-hand side. He's holding his ult for now. No, he's going to get up into the sky. But Benji getting the better of Baskin in that soul lane matchup. You can see he's going to be forced back to base, but he does have teleport, so he's not too worried.
Heading back to base as well as the mid and jungle combination.
Oh, Skeeledon stayed. Skeeledon has ult. Benji, his ult is down though. They're gonna have to find. Oh no, it's up. Never mind. He's just gonna go. I thought they were gonna like bait Baskin back in the lane and then kill him.
Right.
But I don't think the Naja really has that much damage. You can see Red Pot almost falling off on her, as well as only has Bumbas, no boots just yet.
Interesting play coming out from the Zeus here, going into the boots before the Dynasty plate helm. And this is honestly, they're both defensive items. It's really just what is more your style. But watch on the backside. Here comes Najah from behind, and there's that damage we mentioned from Hurriwind. First blood going the way of SoaR and Raijin specifically. Bang, bang, says the drums.
You can see Metyankey comes crashing down as well, but that was just a beautiful combination. Baskin just kind of walks on the top side, and I'm fairly certain that was seen by Denial. Maybe not, but it really looked like they were just completely underestimating Baskin. Now, Homiefe, he's going to actually look for another one.
Right for it.
You can see Skeeledon in the mid, but no, he's going to go and farm.
I like that. I like that willingness to just go for the ult, though. Something was obviously called to the mid lane. Hey, we might have something, and just going directly into the ultimate might is better than we won't, right? So, Homie spends the ult. Denial will be relatively safe for the moment until that one comes back up online. But for the moment, level 7 on Hurriwind, and definitely looking at this guy.
I really liked the fact that he actually used the taunt coming out. He knows the Sanctuary was burned in that first, in that almost first blood in mid lane, where Homiefe got that double tap. So he has nothing to kind of counter any CC coming out from Hurriwind there, and it's just a beautifully executed play as well.
Yeah, a lot of times the small amount of crowd control options that are on Raijin's ult are overlooked just because of the regular hit, Kevin, is just so much damage. It could be really...
It's double the normal. I mean, hey, man.
It can be tough to go, yeah, I guess I should use the crowd control ability when you can hit them for 1,000,000. But
and you actually see less and less use of that CC as the later the game goes, because basically doing double damage on a hit is more effective than taunting someone for 0.5 of a second to secure other damage, because you're going to kill them either way. You're going to 100 to 0 anyone in the game almost, outside of maybe a very tanky warrior.
I mean, the best crowd control in the game is sending someone back to base, right? Like, you can't do anything if you're dead, pal. So, yeah, as the game gets later and later and you see more damage stacked on, I wonder if he'll go Doom Orb. You should definitely see a little...
oh, he's definitely going to. If players don't go Doom Orb, they go Dynasty Plate Helm right now. Homiefe, he'll be able to get out. He has a Neith ult charge. Oh, actually, the Neith ult may hit him when he comes landing down. I think it was on top of him.
Yeah, you've got to be in the air for 10+ seconds for an Neith ult to disappear, and, well, Thor can't do that at all.
I thought the detonate charge had actually already gone off, but you saw the second Thor takes to the sky, gets his health low enough, and no one to really body block that thing after all.
Not quite. Metyankey being pushed back on his tower as well. Apollo's clear issues have relatively been fixed with the golden bow. Apollo can definitely clear, but going up against a Neith, who is the definition of clear, her and SoaR really are the leaders in that situation. Chiron's up there as well. Apollo definitely sees his Achilles heel flexed out a little bit. Denial will pick up these right harpies, no problem.
And you can see rotation coming out from Shadowq. He's going to be sitting in this mid a little bit more. You see that a lot from the supports. After the early game, they kind of let their hunters be. And even though Metyankey's getting pressured out a little, he's not too worried about his hunter. And Metyankey actually, after Golden Bow, not going into boots that we typically see, he's definitely farming for kind of this late game scenario, has gone into the Devourer's Gauntlets.
I really love Devourer's Gauntlets on Apollo. I always have. And because you're just attacking so often, a lot of times we see that the Aussie builds and stuff like that come out onto Apollo, and you get into a situation where you overcap your attack speed once in your passive. Now, that's not exactly the worst thing in the world, because your passive is up more often, but the Devo's Gloves, it's not exactly the #1 pick at the moment, but I like the fact that Metyankey is willing to try things out, and two, I've always liked the additional life steal on a character that attacks as much as Apollo.
Baskin continuing to lose this soul lane. This is a lot of what we expect coming out from Stun Wukong. Really struggles, and even though he has the knockup for the bludgeon, not really able to gain control of this lane. Benji's going to teleport back in, and Baskin, he's even in gold, but he did have that very early rotation to get that assist, and I think that's a lot of where that comes back into, because Benji did have about a 200 to 300 lead early.
Yeah, Sun Wukong's ability to really rotate is definitely one of the boons
nice
of his.
sidestep.
Beautiful stuff from Hurriwind. Just out-reading his opponent. Skeeledon unable to find the stun. Metyankey here boxing the Neith, but two supports will join the party. So.
Oh, that's brutal. Baskin actually steals away Benji's blue buff. And Benji's blue buff is down right now. Or, excuse me, Baskin's is down right now. I think he got both of them. So Baskin, even though he's losing the lane, he's going to win the jungle.
Yeah, I think Baskin once, or less Baskin, more Sun Wukong. Once Sun Wukong really hits that level 8, 9, 10 stride, he can have control of his own by way of poke and
He
some
just
stuns.
lost his 4, though.
It works.
Yo, Benji and Baskin are just like going at it. They're both trying to steal as many buffs as they can.
Oh, yeah.
I bet you they both have a counter. They're probably whispering each other, hey man, I stole your blue. Hey man, I stole
believe it.
your boar and your backs.
I believe it. These guys are, and I don't want to say these guys, it's solo laners in general, KK. It's just, solo laners in general have this, like, chip on your shoulder sounds so negative. They just always want to show off and say, I'm the guy.
You have to have an ego in solo because
Yeah.
it's really the only true 1v1 lane anymore, right? There's the 3v3 group up and, hunters, a lot of times they don't fight, right? Solo laners, they're always just going at it. You always see before fights even break out, they're topping the charts in damage. They both got they probably both have 3,500 damage. Here, we'll take a look at player. Okay, no. So they're actually not, excuse me. But that's, there's fights in mid lane,
Yeah, no, exactly. I get what you're saying. You need to be a little bit greedy, a little bit aggressive, and a lot of bit proud.
It's like everyone's a Zap man in the solo lane.
And solo lane's going to make the rotation. Huge damage coming out from Hurriwind, a knockup, and 2 knockups with Baskin in the back line. No animals available, so no stun available. But here comes Apollo on the backside, taking out Xenotronics. Zeus, reminder, you've got no movement abilities. Tower dives coming out onto Shadowq. He's going to get taunted. But help from the jungle. Skeeledon shows up, plays an important role as far as the stuns are concerned.
Big bludgeon.
And Benji shuts down Metyankey.
Double tap coming out from Homiefe will secure Skeeledon, and it looks like Denial. They were going to lose this pretty hard, and they have. It's going to be a 2-for-1, but managing to come up with the kill on Metyankey. A little bit surprised, though. Benji actually electing to hold his ult there, wanted to get the bludgeon damage off instead of using the Eagle's Rally. If those protections had been down, maybe we see another player live from Denial.
Benji took a while to rotate as well. Baskin was here well before, and, that was SoaR's initiation. They went for that fight. Hurriwind just popped up in the ult and kind of surprised everybody with a bunch of damage, and Baskin showed up. But Benji, couple of steps behind. And like you said, without the ultimate, might have been an issue.
And that's twice now, so a little bit worrying. In that fight, though, you could see once again Hurriwind electing to use the taunt instead of kind of the max damage. Wasn't able to get anyone low enough, but they basically bait out that Sanctuary from Xenotronics. He actually expected the Homiefe to come crashing down much sooner, and now this gets into the very worrying part for Zeus. A lot of times, even if a team is winning, you'll actually see the Zeus behind in levels to the opposing mid laner. That's because it's so hard to farm, because you're not safe. You don't have Thunder Crash. You have no movement abilities. You don't even have bonus movement speed anymore ever since the Aegis shield change. So it's just a very scary thing for a Zeus. And you can even see over here, blue buff trying to secure it. Did they get it? Oh, they're actually looking for Baskin. Zeus has ult.
Baskin gets stunned once and twice. The ult's here, though. Chicken soup with rice.
I believe Baskin, once again, stealing away the blue buff from Benji. So continuing to get the better in that jungle buff matchup. And then he walks back in and secures it.
Yep. Baskin just...
It doesn't even care, man.
No, like we said, you got to be a little proud and confident. He'll be fine. He gets a knockup and quickly finds safety under his own tower. Mid lane, however, 3-on-2. Dash in from Jigz, trying to find Skeely, who changes his target towards Hurriwind. I like that. I like that play coming out from Skeeledon. Shows you where his mind's at.
Homiefe actually going to be chasing out Vetium here. Beautiful wall. Doesn't find the stun, but completely walled off. Homiefe is going to find that one. The Geb shield's a little bit too late.
Jigz surrounded, 3 members of Denial. Skeeledon takes Metyankey to the sky. Not enough. One more shot into the hunter and he'll be dead, but Skeely can't find it. Jigz come out of nowhere. Skeely gets turned around on, but the ring toss after death. We call that a martyrdom kill, folks.
1-for-1 want not needed. There comes the mez from Hurriwind to make sure Jigz can get out as well. SoaR playing beautifully to protect their team. Once again, walk away with the 2-for-1 Denial. Continuing to find kills, but not the number they want.
Definitely not the number they want. And SoaR, got to give the shout out to Jigz. There's so much more to say. We always talk about how easy it is to hit support abilities, but what we don't mention as often is how important the positioning is as far as just using your body to block. And watching Jigz just take the situation of Metyankey, get in between him and his aggressor. Huge part there coming out from Jigz. Doesn't save Metyanky's life, but makes it last long enough to get the kill.
Baskin once again going to find Xenotronics caught alone there, and that's what's so worrying about Zeus. If you don't have the Geb near you, you take one step into the jungle and you die. And there was nothing he could do. He didn't have Purification online. He had just hit level 12, and now with that picked SoaR, they were starting the Gold Fury here, but they might just be baiting it. Raijin's ult is up in 3 seconds. They definitely want to fight something.
Metyankey is building up his passive right now. He'll use it on the Gold Fury, so more focused on the objective at damage itself. SoaR takes a Gold Fury with 13 on the clock, and they lead by 3 kills, and now the gold reflects that as well. 3,300 on the side of SoaR as they're above Denial.
Heading into kind of this mid-game area, Denial, they've kind of been getting caught out in a awkward numbers kind of fight, more so than SoaR making big plays.
Right.
It seems to be SoaR is just rotating faster, and the fights break out, and they have a man advantage, and they find a kill, right? And then the rest of Denial rotates in, and then by the time they get there, it's just another one-for-one trade. Metyankey going to take to the sky. He's waiting for that Geb shield to end. No, he's not. He's going right in.
And he'll get hit by a bunch of damage, and well played by Denial.
That was trying to, he was trying to style that.
He was shooting for the top 5 plays video on Esports Weekly. That's exactly what he was
if we have a top 5 fails.
Ouch.
Oh.
Look at SoaR's team comp, though, Kevin. You mentioned the out-rotation ability coming out from SoaR. Well, Apollo's ultimate, Jigz' ultimate, we'll leave Hurriwind alone, Homiefe's ultimate, and you got bird mode on Baskin. This entire team is able to respond to a call at a moment's notice outside of Raijin. And I think that was a big part of what went into picking these characters for this team comp is the ability to, like you said, it hasn't been SoaR making these gigantic plays. It's just there's just more members of their team around when they need them to be. With this composition, they're literally just a phone call away.
You can see Baskin there not electing to back as both players had started off. Benji takes a trip back to his base, but he doesn't have a tier 2 to teleport to. Something to note as well is in that left-hand engagement, we actually saw SoaR start it off and get the pick early, and then Benji rotates over with the teleport, and then Baskin just says, back off, guys, and that's when we saw SoaR start to retreat, and it was a free uncontested tower.
Right.
So mind games as well coming out from SoaR. They might have been able to win that fight if Baskin had teleported over it and look for further and go for the Gold Fury, but instead they take the free gold from the tower.
Jigz again trying to help out his teammate. This time, Skeeledon catches Metyankey, much healthier. Sanctuary will save the life of the Hunter for the moment, and Vetium hits him through the sky, as well as Homiefe trying to find the double tap. Vetium dodges that nicely, but it's raining, and all the members of SoaR are stuck in Zeus's ult. Baskin picks up the kill quickly.
Xenotronics actually killed Skeeledon there. Skeeledon was out, and Xenotronics actually walks in and body blocks Skeeledon in between that wall, the Thor wall and the Gold Fury wall, and Skeeledon can't separate himself enough by the time the Raijin ult there. A little bit of miscommunication and sloppiness from Denial.
Benji looking at Hurriwind. Purification already used. Helpful stun from Baskin, and the slow. The stun-slow combo saves the life.
That's been my favorite part of watching SoaR so far this game. It's just how well they peel for each other.
Yeah.
It's just all around. The team is just looking to make sure everyone can get out. But honestly, this game's not that far off. SoaR, they're up 2 kills, but it's only 2,000 gold, including that Gold Fury they got. So Denial still fighting back into it. More importantly, they have a Zeus, and while he's a little bit behind, it's still a Zeus.
And late game, that Zeus will definitely let you know his name. Tower taken over in the dual lane by Denial. That'll make the game a little bit closer. About 1,000 gold separate these two teams, give or take.
1,900.
Closer to 2. All right.
A little bit closer to 2.
Right.
You rounded down.
All right. I just rounded down.
Pretty wide round down there, Thom. SoaR, though, still in control of the game. They've actually made all the aggressive plays here. We really haven't seen Denial try and force any engagement just yet. And I expect that to be the case for quite some time. I think SoaR definitely have the advantage in going aggressive, and I think Denial's team comp works better playing defensively with Shadowq really looking to simply shield Xenotronics every time he can, and then the Naja setup for when someone dives a little bit too deep. And you also have Vishim as well, right? Even though Metyankey's going to be able to ult his whole body over there, right? The Neith arrow is going to get there to the fight first, and then Denial can look to disengage once Met comes crashing in.
A lot of teamwork on both sides of these two squads as we sit here in game number 1, 18 minutes on the clock, and This time I'll get it right. 2,000 gold separate our two teams along with 2 kills. SoaR in the lead on both of those categories.
Oh man, this is the question here for me is SoaR going to keep being aggressive, or are they going to play it a little bit more respectable? And I think the fact that the kills are pretty close means it's going to be a little bit safer play from them. They've really been able to kind of abuse this jungle mid combo.
Yeah, I've really been able to abuse that combo, but for right now, we're going to keep on keeping on. Hurriwind and Jigz grouped up in the mid lane right now. And yeah, this is very important for Hurriwind on this Raijin, more specifically the Raijin, to always be hand-holding with a teammate that can easily peel for him. And that's exactly what we're seeing. Early game, it was Homiefe. Now, mid-game, we're seeing more of Jigz, where there's just always someone around to be able to help out Hurry if he gets in trouble.
I mean, that's more so for Zeus. It just hasn't been going that way,
yeah,
right? He's found
exactly.
three deaths. Blinken by Shadowq, though, going to find Purification, and I like that combination. Neith is there as well. They're trying to find Hurriwind at the start of the fight. In denial, they find a pick, and that was just really well executed.
Very well. Small thing to note, SoaR, Homiefe knocked out the ward, so there wasn't able to be an instant teleport coming out from the guys on denial. Gold Fury already taken down to about half HP. The guys from SoaR are local. Thor has an ultimate if he so chooses, but everybody's getting close. Thor's in the air. Gold Fury leashed. Now they're looking at Jigz, but Homiefe lands down on Xeno. Sanctuary's gone.
The team going way too hard, but somehow Xenotronics is still getting focused out. Why did his ultimate come out that late? Baskin picks them up. Now Met's being chased by Benji here. You can see he's slowed. Sanctuary for a second, trying to find a Mez, but it doesn't even matter. And once again, the carries for denial are being left alone. Baskin's going to die. Vetium, there comes the Tiger. A nice juke by Vetium. He's going to stun up, but it doesn't matter. It's Baskin with the 1v1 and the meditation and Athena ult on top of him.
Athena ult's going to help mitigate some of the damage coming out and deal some of the damage. Jigz picks up one. Baskin ultimately falls, but nice try coming out from the guys on SoaR. They even pick one up for their troubles. And at the end of this, if denial continue to fight between Hurriwind and Homiefe, this might be a dead solo later.
This is a good amount of burst, but Hurriwind is 5 levels down. He's going to be stunned out by Cataclysm and SoaR. They're going to drop that, but that was a 3-for-2 in favor of denial. Very awkward, though. Honestly, denial open up with a beautiful pick. And then Xenotronics is getting chased down by 2 members multiple times. Excuse me, it was actually a 3-for-3. So that's including the pick at the start. But SoaR, they're going to find an overall gold lead off of that.
Yeah, as you said, it was a little questionable, some of the decisions that
the
Fdot
ult
made
also
there.
from Xenotronics, very late. Honestly, he could have just killed Homiefe at the start of there, and that fight would have been so much more in favor.
Yeah, it's those decisions that, I mean, not making excuses for the young man, but that's what we're seeing. Xenotronics in his very first SPL game since so many moons ago. Skeeledon did this last week, right? So coming up to the grand stage does pose a little bit of, do you want to be the guy that wastes his ultimate before it's worth something, or you know what I mean? So got to be thinking about where the players are, but Xenotronics finds himself with 4 deaths. Here's a question I always pose on a character as fragile as Zeus, Adanas, is Magi's Blessing. Would you like to see a Magi's Blessing instead of the Dynasty? No?
Maybe later on, but
that's
I mean, you have a Geb shield. That's like overstacking, and then you're either dropping an item, a damage item, or you could go into a much better defensive item, right? Even an E-Staff. Just going to give you so much more health, the ability to survive more. It doesn't seem to be like a CC chain problem. It seems to just be an all-in problem.
A burst problem. Right. Maybe Spirit Robe is the way to go. But either way, we've seen Zeus, MLC Zeus specifically, we've seen him stack up on the defensive items and then clean things up with a Soul Reaver.
Maybe a Warlock Sash, but you would have had to gone that much earlier. Instead, actually electing to go into the Dynasty play at home, which is fine. That's pretty standard at this point. But we actually have the best who goes into a breastplate on Zeus. Xenotronics clearly not looking for that, but maybe something in the future. Help him stay alive, especially kind of against Baskin and Homiefe, who on these physical carries have been the ones to primarily shut him down in team fights.
Pings coming out in the middle lane as they see Baskin, as Denial sees Baskin, excuse me, making the trip over here. Gold Fury is still alive and available, and SoaR will be the team to aggress onto it. Jigz is here playing Spaceman, but ultimately his team decides there's too much of a threat, and they're going to go ahead and relinquish control of the Gold Fury. Blink from Skeeledon, and the ultimate is immune. Well played by Hurriwind off of the sound cue. Now Jigz in some trouble, and Xeno in even more trouble. Ultimate from Hurriwind going to deal out a bunch of damage. Still can't find the kill,
Oh, the
but
Geb
Vetium
shield.
finds Hurriwind.
The Geb shield actually going to be able to keep him alive. In the back of the fight, though, Benji chasing out Met. He's just going to mez and back off. Baskin is finally able to chase down Xenotronics, and Shadowq can't really do much anymore. Once again, it's a 2-for-1 in favor of SoaR. They continue to win these engagements by just one extra player.
Wow, that play out of Hurriwind honestly really just changed that entire fight. A blink over the wall to a blind Naja ult was immune because of purification. That's incredible.
So there's two reasons that happened. First off, they had already done that play, so Hurriwind kind of expected it.
Right.
The second the blink comes through, he's like, Naja's looking to ult me. That
Of
is
course.
clearly Denial's game plan to try and kill us or try and kill me and line me up. But also the problem is that when Skeeledon blinked over the wall, he actually blinked over looking the wrong way, and he kind of overshot the blink as well. He was to the left and facing the Gold Fury where Hurriwind was close to the wall. So he had to quickly whip his mouse, and within that time frame, once again, Hurriwind, he knew it was coming. He read that it was about to happen, pops his purification, and then the Windfire Wheels are completely negated that engagement.
Exactly. If that purification doesn't come out for all the reasons that Kevin just stated, I mean, that ultimate goes off. Hurriwind isn't able to deal the damage that he does onto Xenotronics. Baskin doesn't find him in the back, etc., etc., etc. That's a much different fight. Very important reaction stuff coming out from SoaR. And because of that, they're going to go towards the Gold Fury. They've created a little bit of space here, Kevin, but with the ultimate from Raijin, they're definitely able to secure it. No problem. And SoaR now extends their lead to about 4,000 gold. Yeah.
I like that they backed off as well instead of looking for the fight. They could have maybe fought Denial, but with that ultimate from Hurriwind down, it's simply not worth the risk.
Yep.
In the mid lane, though, they're going to try and force the fight anyway. Denial, they're going to blink forward, and it looks like SoaR, they're just going to back off for the most part as Baskin zones the back line.
Skeeledon on the front side as well. Going to find a target. Not really do much of anything with it. Skeeledon, very low.
Yeah, he, I think, ulted the decoy.
Yeah, I think that was
I
the case.
think he ulted
I think he
Baskin.
ulted
I saw
Baskin's
him go to the sky, and I'm like, everyone's on the ground.
I mean, you and I both looked at each other. He definitely went up.
I was
We
like,
saw
he was
that.
in the air. I was like, what in the world? Oh, the decoy. That's
Yep.
rough. SoaR now going to take this time to try and force the Fire Giant. This is so beautiful.
Vetium's here.
Vetium is going to read it out, but the rest of Denial don't know yet. Benji actually going to try and kill Hurriwind in the meantime.
Xenotronics is going to show up to the party as well. And now SoaR will pull off the Fire
That
Giant and just
wall.
look for the fight. Great wall coming out from Hurriwind, and it'll stop Benji from taking out the mid laner.
Oh my god, it is so... When two players are stacked up, I talked about this earlier, it's so hard to kind of position your wall, especially when they're moving, to where you get both players on the opposite side, most notably your teammate on the safety side.
Right.
And still, over the wall, Homie finds it.
Never or very rarely have Homiefe's actual mechanics been really questioned. It's always been his ability to play on a bigger stage than usual. So here in the SPL, I mean, looks acclimated. Things look good to me as far as Homie's play is concerned, at least in that exchange.
Denial going to siege up a tower on the right-hand side as well. They were able to get the mid lane after SoaR got this Gold Fury. Oh, Shadowq, he's actually caught out here. Going to shield in place, and Baskin going to turn his attention to Skeeledon. I'm not sure if he was looking for Tiger form there, but good amount of poke coming out from Sun Wukong. And that's one thing that Sun Wukong does excel at is its poke.
Yes, without a doubt. I mean, that magical cudgel, that ability right there, it's next to impossible to miss. You can aim it till the last second. Metyankey, ooh, good sanctuary coming out from Vetium, but what looked like a simple 1v1 won't be the case. Metyankey finishes off Vetium with a big old crit, help from Jigz.
SoaR find a pick at the start of this fight. They're going to be looking at this tier 2. You can see Baskin in the back line simply looking to zone. And he's really not trying to fight here. Jigz actually might be going to find a two-man taunt. There's going to be the Geb shield. And I believe Raijin's ultimate, it's being fired as well, but I think the team wasn't really expecting that Geb shield to be so well timed.
Exactly. So SoaR expend a whole bunch, but they do get something for their efforts. Tier 2 over there on the left-hand side. Continuing on, extending their lead, 6,600 in the bank for SoaR above their opponents. And now everybody winds up on the right-hand side of the map. I don't think SoaR goes directly for this Fire Giant and baits a fight. I think they will back first, and we'll see where they wind up afterwards.
I mean, now they're going to be finishing out some items. You can see Breastplate online for Jigz now. It's going to give him capped CDR, actually just short of capped CDR, but still a lot. Baskin not going to be allowed to blink, or back, excuse me, as he finishes off Bulwark more than likely. Could be Heart Ward as well if he's looking to give his team a little bit more of defensive auras. So honestly, Baskin should probably look to go into Heart Ward because he's tanky enough on his own. But I guess he wants to be a little bit more tanky. So Bulwark.
Bulwark. Yeah, it's an individual item.
Void Shield also finished by Homie.
Maybe Jigz has plans on building Heart Ward later on in exchange for his starter item, Watchers. Jigz will make the taunt. Big damage coming out onto Benji. That was big damage. It just so happens that Benji has a bazillion HP.
He actually does. You see how many tick marks he has right there?
I mean, look at that.
Almost 3K.
He's got the Pestilence, the Frostbound Hammer, right? Urchin. Does Urchin? Yeah. So
0 stacks on the Urchin. Pretty late into the game, but this has been a pretty aggressive game. As you can see, SoaR trying to pick off Geb, but from the back, Skeeledon, he's looking. Hurriwind knows it's there, though.
Not going to find it. Geb alone, stunned out, double tapped, and ults just to save his life, but here comes the ultimate out of Hurriwind. Unable to find the win, Skeeledon bounces that ring back and forth and back and forth. He uses the heal, but Baskin finds him on the backside with that oh-so-easy-to-hit magical cudgel.
Oh, once again, Windfire Wheels, I think, got completely immune. Xenotronics is going to get a shield, so he's going to stay alive. But Baskin, he's going to surge forward, and Metyankey comes crashing down. Sanctuary only going to save you for a minute, buddy. Metyankey finishes off Xenotronics, but he's actually tanking the tower in the meantime, and a big bludgeon will take him out.
Jigz in some trouble, gets stunned out, gets dashed out. But he'll get knocked up from Baskin. And the hammer gets stunned out from Homiefe. SoaR continuing with the motif of helping each other out. Continue to do so, but ultimately, Benji's got too many tricks and Jigz falls down.
Honestly, SoaR could have lost a lot more if they didn't chain that CC well enough. Bludgeon going to be completely immune there. But now, Denial, they're going to be pressuring onto this tier 2.
Teleport in from one of the members of SoaR. It'll be the solo lane son Wukong. He shows up. He takes a bunch of damage coming out from both the Hunter and the Benji. Slow down.
Homie, he's actually back in, and Hurriwind, he's going to Thunder Crash forward, going to find the mez. Good Sanctuary from Vetium, and a better Cataclysm coming out, but it doesn't matter. Baskin going to find 2. There comes the taunt. Homie takes out Vetium, and now all of SoaR is surging forward. Benji on 1 health. He's going to try and ult out, and now it's actually Hurriwind that gets turned on. Skeeledon continuing to focus him out, but I don't think he has enough damage. Oh, he does!
Shadowq confirms the kill on a Hurriwind thanks to Skeeledon's big damage ult. Skeeledon will find a death, though. Baskin continues to do what he does. 7-1-7 on the young solo laner, now being chased out by solo lane and support, but double knockup.
How annoying is this Sun Wukong?
Yeah.
Non-stop max CDR, we see the Tiger Form stun, we see the Ox knockups. I don't think I've ever seen a team get more knocked up than I have with Denial.
I mean, that's what we said. That's what we said coming into this one.
They're going to have some Cubs coming out soon.
I asked you. Nice. I asked you. I was like, you know, what does Sun Wukong do? And I remember one time I called him, he's just there to be annoying, right? And then this time around, you're like, he's just there to be distracting. He's doing both. He's just knocking everybody up. He's stunning you when you don't want to be stunned. I'm out. I'm gone. Smack magic cudgel. Credit to Baskin. That's what we're seeing.
There's way too much I can do with this, and I don't want to dive too deep into this one.
Please don't.
SoaR right now up 17-12 in kills. They've got a 6,500 gold lead. They're going to be starting Fire, and Denial actually nowhere to be seen, just coming out of their base. Vetium, he'll be the first one there, but it's going to be too late. It's already done.
Yeah, there's no vision, but Denial doesn't need vision to know exactly where SoaR is. They're going to be, well, very far ahead of Denial themselves.
I like this from SoaR once again. Not taking the fight. Let's back. Let's spend our gold. Let's get in a much better position and be ready to fight this. No ultimates were expended for them, so not too worrying. Jigz, though, level 19. And Hurriwind level 19. That's a little bit surprising that Hurriwind hasn't been able to farm as well.
I mean, Jigz has more gold than Hurriwind. The support has more gold than the mid laner right now.
Support life.
It's the Watcher's gift, clearly.
Gold Fury, it's going to be up, and Denial weren't able to kind of sneak it away in response to SoaR's Fire Giant. So Denial, it's going to get real rough for him for them in these next couple engagements after SoaR not only finished this, but also like to finish off the towers.
What is Homiefe's sensitivity on? Did you just see him spin around on that Thor?
No, I didn't notice.
Wow.
Crazy.
Yeah, it was really crazy. He's got to be playing at like 8 million. Gold Fury taken out by SoaR as well, and that'll put them almost 10K in the lead, which I mean, 10K is really my mark, where it's just devastating. Up until that point, you can sort of pose. All right, we win 2 team fights, we get a this, we get a that. Once you hit 10K, Kevin, I think that it sort of lights out most of the time.
It's really hard unless you have kind of like a Kali, but it's not the worst thing because you look at Vetium and his build almost completed. So even though they're down in gold, SoaR are basically full build here, outside of, I think, spending what's in their inventories now. So it's really just going to be a catch-up game from now on. They're not getting further behind. They're only getting closer.
Yeah, Skeely's really the one that's in a little bit of trouble, and Homiefe from a distance locks down Shadowq.
Oh, that was beautiful. That was beautiful from SoaR. Immediately, you see the stun come out from Homiefe. He doesn't teleport in. All that happens is Denial waste 2 big team-fighting ultimates. And also, I guess Vetium used his as well. So SoaR, they lose nothing but a little bit of health, which is going to be regen from the Fire Giant, and then they can just re-siege, and that's what they're doing. They're splitting right now the defenses from Denial. They have Baskin over on the right-hand side, and they're just going to bait out as much as they can in the middle.
Looking still for the fight. Not yet. Being very patient. Jigz dashes, then he gets a taunt.
Geb Shield.
It gets Geb Shield.
Shell as well coming out from SoaR, so thinking Denial's going to force the engagement here. And it's actually going to be them surging forward. Skeeledon once again looking for Hurriwind. No, he actually changed his target to Metyankey.
Like that change. Adjust to what's been going on, Metyankey.
Oh, not enough.
Metyankey will find a way out, but Skeely won't. Baskin puts an 8th death onto the new jungler for Denial. Jigz, Baskin, Homiefe, Hurriwind. Everybody will start looking towards the right tower. Not yet willing to go for the Phoenix.
I think that's the safe play. It's still
Agreed.
4 members of the Denial. They also may not know the exact cooldowns of Shadowq's and Xenotronics ultimates, considering they both have 25 or 20% CDR in their kits, and that's exactly what happens. The ultimates just come up from Denial. I like this decision from SoaR to take the free gold coming out from that tier 2, spend it, and have everyone finish their builds that can.
Exactly. Just very close attention to the small wins, and that's really what SoaR's been all about, is making sure that they don't bite off more than they can chew. We have mentioned many times early in this SPL season that, this happened because of, what do you always say? Overstaying your welcome, I think it's you, right? The SoaR has been very attentive to the fact to absolutely not do that.
They find their wins, then they reset the fight. It's just very clean play. We don't see them kind of doing anything too crazy outside of Metyankey trying to, honestly. And to be fair, that was really close on timing the shield. He obviously wanted to come crashing down to where the Geb shield would fade in the middle of his ultimate. Just barely off the mark, and then he really couldn't do anything after that. But no real mistakes from the team since then. And honestly, Hurriwind early on was getting focused by Skeeledon and has done a beautiful job of making sure not to get sent up into the sky by that Windfire Wheels ever since the first time he died to it. And,
Skeeledon has made the adjustment to now look at his other soft target, which is Metyankey. Everybody else on the side of SoaR, probably a little bit too tanky for Naja to start looking at, but unfortunately, Metyankey able to outlast as Skeely finds himself very far behind. He's got 2 crit items, but it's just not enough.
You can see the ward battle going to be starting. Rod of Tahuti was finished by Hurriwind in that last fight, as well as CDR boots and Sovereignty from Jigz. So more auras and more cooldown reduction from this Athena, who's really been forcing a lot of these engagements at 1-0, or excuse me, 1-1 and 11.
Fire Giant now being danced around as it will spawn momentarily. It's got about 15 seconds left before it comes back up, and SoaR takes placement on the map because of it. Very aggressive. Denial will be forced into their jungle, and if Denial want to come look at the Fire Giant, it's going to be on SoaR's terms for sure.
And they're just baiting it right now. They have full ward control. They want to find someone to pinch. You can see Jigz. He's going to have his dash charged up, really just looking to find anyone to taunt. And there's a big grouping from Denial. He could take the bait here.
Ward's coming out. Fire Giant has been started.
Oh, he baited him.
75. And there's a big burst of damage coming out from Denial. It's all focused on Jigz. Fire Giant has been leashed.
Jigz
so now SoaR looking for the fight. Everybody's looking at Shadowq. Benji will take some of the damage as well. Hurriwind jumps up, down from his ultimate. Both mage ultimates have been used, but Xenotronics finds the detonate onto Hurry, and he's going to fall. Homie now looking for someone helping out his jungler. Jigz falls to Skeely.
Homiefe in a lot of trouble too, but it's going to be Baskin finding a 3-man knockup and another beautiful wall, but the oboe is actually ripping through the team. Metyankey almost falls there. Baskin moves forward. There's 3 players low.
Geb shield.
Great Geb shield, though. And Denial, they're going to find 2 picks. Almost had 4 players, honestly, in that fight.
Denial a little bit too low after that fight. Actually not. Looks like that decision
the
was
teleport by Baskin.
Yeah, Baskin
they don't know
show
that.
Up on the backside. Fire Giant halfway down. Baskin shows up looking at Vetium.
He's dead.
So now has to turn things around.
No.
Metyankey picks up Xeno as he falls down from the sky. Gets the basic on a Vetium. That's a double kill. Obo's doing work against Benji, but Fire Giant says hi to Metyankey, so he'll have to settle for 2.
Obo stopped that fight, and
Yep.
I think that was a good thing for Metyankey. You could see the rest of the Nile coming off of their fountain trip. And neither team going to be able to secure the Fire Giant, both trying, though.
Oh man, that play from SoaR wouldn't have been able to work out if the vision from SoaR wasn't so good. Can we take a look at wards placed, please? Not something we look at very often, but again, I mentioned this last time we watched SoaR play. Jigz again on top of the wards placed. Not a surprise.
I'm not even looking at Jigz being the top. I'm looking at the fact that everyone has placed at least 10 wards. Not something you see a lot of times. Some of these harder carries, they won't place as many, especially early on, but everyone doing, honestly, their share, and it's going to be a Fire Giant by SoaR. Denial actually electing to concede it, and they're going to get the Gold Fury instead. Really wanting to finish off their builds, because that's the thing, and this isn't the worst decision. I kind of like it. And the fact that SoaR, all of their players are full build. They're not trying to get more gold. They literally just want the buff. The next gold spike they have is when they can buy the 3K pots. In Denial, this is just helping them finish off their builds, and it's going to make these engagements much easier for them and much more contestable. Instead of just potentially losing a game at a Fire Giant, they'd rather finish items and fight against basically SoaR, who have an extra item in the Fire Giant buff.
We've been able to see teams put on spectacular defenses as well when it comes down to these Phoenix fights, and when the team in the lead goes for it, we have seen success. So I do enjoy the idea of going for the Gold Fury just to be better equipped for the inevitable fight that will happen under their Phoenix, and it looks like Denial will be defending the left side of the map.
You can see Chin Sai's finished by Benji. It's going to be Titan's Bane picked up by Skeeledon, Rod of Tahuti online for Xenotronics, Spirits Rolled finished by Shadowq, and Obo online for Vetium. So honestly, I kind of like that Gold Fury play, but still, it is a Fire Giant team in SoaR, and they're going to have to do a lot to hold.
Shadowq now staring at his opponent. Shadowq and Jigz just dancing, making sure they don't get in combat. Both of these players really want to get in there. Of course, Geb by way of Blink, Jigz by way of Dash.
I feel like Shadowq should be a little bit more defensive here and allow Benji to front line. If Shadowq just relies heavily on protecting Xenotronics, because Xenotronics still 7 deaths to his name, 8 deaths on the side of Skeeledon as well, who's kind of been this player who looks to the back line and tries to take someone, but it's always been unsuccessful in the last couple engagements.
Jigz will start the party, taunting Shadowq towards himself.
Was
and a little bit
was that Geb
damage.
shield by Shadowq?
I don't think so.
Oh, I thought he shielded himself. That was a slight opportunity maybe for SoaR to look to hard engage, but it's always still a little bit worrying.
SoaR makes the rotation over the mid lane now. The only one on the left side is Hurriwind. Sprint is popped, and SoaR's going to get aggressive here. Metyankey focusing on the players, not the Phoenix. That might be an issue.
Oh, Benji's getting shredded by Metyankey right now. Baskin, his ult was used, and there comes the drums of war. Not enough to finish anyone, but it's going to be Baskin into the back line. In the middle of all of Denial, somehow makes it out, and SoaR walk away with the Phoenix.
Jigz thought Baskin was going to get a little aggressive, so decided to ult him. So Athena ult down. There's a huge taunt. Homie's in the sky, though. This could be a problem. Homie lands on Skeeledon way on the backside.
Xenotronics, a very late ult, but the double tap from Homie. It's going to be a double kill as well. He's going to be surrounded. Jigz with a taunt, and Homie, he's being chased down by Benji, but the rest of SoaR, they're just focusing on the Phoenix. This is a win for SoaR again. 2 players dead, and 2 Phoenixes down.
You know, a very curious pickup of the Executioner here by Metyankey, but as you see the damage that's being able to be dealt by Baskin and Homie, perhaps a good choice. It's really worked out in this specific situation.
Last Phoenix being sieged up, and Baskin continues to be a nuisance in the back line. Going to be zoning out most of Denial. Shadowq now doing his best to body block, but he's being shredded by Metyankey. He's going to be forced to shield himself. There's the knockup. Met needs one more hit. Doesn't matter. The team just looking for the objectives. Final Phoenix down. SoaR players, a couple of them with 3K in hand. They're going to take a trip back to the base and finish off their 3K pots.
Great onslaught coming out from SoaR. As you said, there's really nothing else for them to buy. This back is really just to heal up more than anything, get more mana back, so that the final push will definitely be successful. SoaR now leading by an incredible amount, although this late in the game, as we're 43 on the clock, that lead starts to matter less and less.
Oh man, Hurriwind gonna pick up this red buff. Now sitting at, what's he gonna go up to? Come on, Hurriwind, pick it up. 761 magical power.
Yep.
Taiko drums gonna be doing a good amount of damage. We actually didn't see them connect in that last fight. We're used to chase down Benji, who was able to Eagles rally away. And that's one thing too, we really haven't seen any Eagles rally used for kind of these all-in team fight commits. It's Benji at the end of fights looking to pick a player off, or kind of at the start of fights to run away because he got poked out, because Metyankey is shredding through these frontliners now. Yeah,
exactly. You know, as I brought up, the Executioner really helping him shred through some of the thicker frontliners, and as well, don't forget, Executioner is a debuff on the target, so Baskin and Homiefe able to make use of that as well.
As well as Homiefe actually electing to go into Void Shield, it's going to reduce physical protection as well, so some pretty well thought out, I think, items from SoaR. They're going to be able to get, once again, another Fire Giant uncontested. There's 3 Phoenixes down for denial, so they're not going to be able to really defend this in any manner. But the problem is the team fight, it didn't go in their way either.
Right, yeah. Now with the Fire Giant on SoaR, all 3 Phoenixes down, honestly, it's really just up to SoaR to get in the base and kill the big Titan. The Titan has 22,000 HP. SoaR can do that damage very quickly.
Denial, most of their players are full build here. We haven't seen Skeeledon make any impact into these team fights. And honestly, the past 25 minutes, he's going to have to come up with a pretty big ult onto a key target, I think, if Denial are going to hold here.
Jigz will start. Taunt onto Benji. He finds himself half HP thanks to a strong Soul Reaver on Hurriwind.
Everything from Denial burned kind of separately there. Not only the Geb ult, but the Neith ult, sent as well. And Skeeledon, he's trying to run. Xenotronics can't get into the fight, and just 2 ults bait it.
SoaR will use that to their advantage, as they no longer have to worry about the group stun coming out from Shadowq.
I love this. They're just pushing up these fire minions. They're letting them rain into the base, which means Denial has to take care of them. They're going to kill all these Phoenixes as they respawn. In addition, we just see taunt after taunt, just trying to get out as much as they can.
Hurriwind's in the, well, not the sky, just sort of hovering, dealing his damage from his ult, and Baskin's able to finish off Vetium. Or Chaos Titan, my mistake. 5,000 HP on that. Skeeledon will help in the back line, but the Chaos Titan will likely fall before Skeeledon does. And it's down. Credit goes to SoaR. They win Game 1 above Denial.
Honestly, the 3v3 going very much in favor of SoaR in that early game. Xenotronics and Skeeledon not really able to get anything rolling. And that's always worrying when you pick these gods like Najah, like Zeus. If you get shut down early, or if you're not having the best game, you don't do anything for your team.
Yeah, the only job those 2 characters really have is doing damage, and as behind as they were, unable to really affect the game. First Blood was quite a different story, though. Let's take a look at how this one really rolled out.
This was just kind of a beautiful combination. I believe that started off with Denial trying to force something, and then we see the taunt come out from Hurriwind in his ultimate, and the rest of the team just lining up.
Yeah, nice turnaround coming out from them. And of course, no surprise, one of the biggest players of our game today was Baskin. Maybe a little surprised that it was unsung Wukong, but he was really able to turn things around for his squad, or at least point them in the right direction.
Poor Zeus, man.
Yeah.
Poor Zeus. This is just...
That's the Baskin beatdown. Teleports in on the backside. Everybody knows he's coming, and he doesn't care.
Baskin doing his best job of annoying the opponents. I think he was top damage as well, but that's the thing, is that Denial really didn't want to focus him, and you just saw that Ox form. The max CDR build coming up from Baskin used so effectively, and just like non-stop, just hitting all these players, and knockups are one of, if they're honestly the best CC in the game, because the only thing you can do against it is preemptively using Purification or Sanctuary. After that, the second you're knocked up, you're stuck in the air taking damage.
Shout out to Jingwei. We'll see how that changes things around. Baskin, stellar performance. Very few deaths. I think only 1 if I'm not mistaken. Maybe 2. I'd have to take a double look, unfortunately. But yeah, fantastic showing from these guys. Skeeledon and Xenotronics, they've played 1 week so far. This is their 2nd week into it. And honestly, Denial needs a little bit more.
They definitely need some work as a team. Denial, I think, are a lot of different pieces that just haven't seemed to gel together as a team. Ultimates are used at different times, and even though Benji and Vishim are coming from the 2nd place at Worlds, it just doesn't seem like they are the players that are able to kind of lead and help mesh this team together.
That's really it for me as well. I take a look at a player like Skeeledon specifically, and I'm always impressed with what he's able to do on the team. It's just how long will it take for Denial to start to come together and work as a unit? Will it be in game?